Hello and welcome to Havner Sports. In this quick screencast, we're going to outline the performance analysis workflow and how we use our performance analysis product GameBreaker Plus in the game of hurling. So first and foremost, we look at the performance analysis workflow. It's a workflow that contains 6 steps that we place great importance on, and if teams or individuals or clubs come and take training from us, we run through this at great detail in your day's training. So first and foremost, your raw footage, you'll see we have in red. We place huge importance on that. We'll talk through how important it is to use height, to use different angles, whether you're going to shoot with 1 camera or 2 cameras, and how easily it is to get the correct footage that you use for performance analysis. When you've got your footage, you then capture it into the machine. So the machine takes any type of, or the software takes any type of footage from most cameras, and once you bring it in, you then code it. So it's a very simple process where you devise a coding template and you decide how you break down your game, be it into puck outs won clean, on the break, scores for, scores against, fouls for, fouls against, and any other element that you want to look at. Once you code the game using your template, you then begin to analyze it. So you can now start to identify trends, what teams do from puck outs, where they attack from, where they build their play from. And once you've got it analyzed, the software allows you to very easily create a presentation. A presentation will be high impact of targeted analysis that you want to prepare your players either for the weekend coming or to look back at what they've done in the previous performance. Once you've created your presentation, the software allows you to very easily disseminate it. So there's no point you giving a great presentation on a Tuesday night and then your players wondering later in the week what was being said by the coaching staff. They want to be able to easily access that, and the dissemination process will allow them to look at it on their phones, on websites, and various other methods. Then we look here at where the performance analysis is used. So it's basically wherever you can point a camera at, say like your pre-analysis, where you look at your opposition, yourselves, and one of the areas that a lot of teams are starting to focus on now is your training. So they're putting a camera on their training. They have a lot of contact time. Coaches have a lot of contact time with the players on the training pitch. So why not put a camera on it and analyze where you can make improvements, or where you're doing, or look at where you're doing well in your training. So you can look at it in the pre-analysis. Then you've got your match analysis. So across a lot of sports, our software we use real time, where coaches can look at footage as it comes onto the laptop, review it, and make game-changing decisions based on what's happening, and not look at it afterwards. If that facility isn't available to them, and it is quite easily with the software, you can look at everything post-match and go to whatever depth you want to. Your individual player development, so you can now use a separate template to look at everything that a player does in a game, and that can be used right from your under 8s up to your seniors, whether it be on the training pitch or how they perform on in a match situation. Then the areas we have here in yellow are other areas that some teams are starting to use it, others not so much, but it's areas where it can be used very, very easily. So if you employ performance analysis in your strength and conditioning, it'll lead to huge improvements where you can video your sessions, have instant feedback for your players if they were in a gym situation, they can step out of a rack and look at how they can improve themselves straight away and then go back into the rack. You've got your skill analysis assessment, where you can look very in depth at individual skills, say the free taking, or how a player will perform a roll lift or a jab lift. Talent identification then is where it can be used throughout a club, where you can identify younger players coming through that are ready to make a step up into the next grade. For example, talented minors that you may look at moving up into your senior team. And then we've got an area such as coach education, where most clubs would have a very talented coach and they'd like to video him and disseminate his coaching drills or his coaching techniques through the coaches at the other age grades throughout the club. So using performance analysis, we would hope, will lead to objective evaluation, where we say the camera doesn't lie, and allows you to evaluate a performance based on fact and not on what you may think or may have thought you'd seen in the performance. That will lead to targeted assessment. Once you've got your targeted assessment, you can create targeted feedback like we talked about with your presentation movie. And once you've got your targeted feedback, we as a company, and we would presume that all teams that we work with, are looking for an improved performance. So using the software should hopefully give you improved performance, and what we'll run through now is just a product demonstration and different areas of where it can be used and how easily it's done. So the first area we'll look at here is match analysis, and we'll touch a little bit on the camera footage. So what we're looking at here is with the camera footage, and if you were to take training, as I mentioned earlier, we advise on how possibly you get your best camera footage, either be with one camera or two cameras. So you'll notice here when we play this out, for something on a puck out, we don't zone in on the man. As we look at it here, you can see a big majority of the field, and you're looking at a large number of players, whereas most clubs that come to us and show us the footage they've shot themselves, they will focus very much just on the ball carrier and maybe 5 or 6 yards around them. For the purpose of performance analysis, you're trying to get as many players as you can into the picture for as much of the time as you possibly can, so that you can identify things like player movement. When you've got your footage in, there's simple things here that impress people, like the speed control. So as the player's going through here, we can slow it down, we can go up into full screen. You can highlight different things. So if I wanted to highlight that player, I can easily do so. We can talk about space inside here if we wish, using the easy to use drawing tools. Come back out, make your point and move on, and we can run through to the end of the clip and we can see if the player is successful with his attempted goal or not. Hit escape brings you out of full screen. So how we've done that, or how we've created the timeline down here, is with a coding template like this. So this would be the coding template we've devised and we give to most people in the training sessions. So every time I was to see a puck out, all I do is click on the puck out button at the start of the puck out. We turn the puck out off again. So we'll code this team here as the yellow team, and you can see here I'm just going to turn on the puck out button. And then I'm going to say, was it one clean or break by that team? So we're saying here in this situation that it's been one break. And now I turn off my puck out because the puck out's ended. And if we come and look at this down at the bottom, you'll see we've created a new row here called puck out team A. And underneath it we have another row called puck out break team A. So if I just want to see that puck out, I double click on it, and it plays my puck out here, shows me the name underneath. I can go into full screen, but it's just captured from the time I've turned that button on to the time I turned it off. So you go through your game like that, and what it does is it creates different rows here. So you can see we've got our points for team A, our points from frees, our puck outs one clean, or puck outs one break, and each one of these little boxes here denotes an instance from the time I turned on a button to the time I turned it off. So if I wanted to see this point here from play for team A, I just come along, double click on it, go into full screen again, and you're instantly at the point you want to look at. So you're not wasting time with your players running up and down a video. You're right there. It's targeted analysis, targeted feedback. So if I wanted to start creating a movie, I could now come in here and add a note to that. So I come in here, hit add note, and I can say good play, just something very simple. And you'll notice now that this coaching note is going to appear in my instance. So when I double click on it, it comes up here and it's got my coaching note. So what happens is you devise maybe 5 minutes of footage that is going to go into your movie, and it's going to be high impact targeted footage. So here's an example of a presentation movie that's being created within the Sports Code GameBreaker Plus software. You can see you can add nice annotations, nice graphics at the start of the movie, make it look a little bit more professional. We would suggest these movies are about 5 minutes long. In our experience, a 5-minute movie will give you about a 20 to 25-minute meeting, which means you can have a performance analysis presentation either before training or after training, and you're not asking players to come in on a second night or to have a standalone performance analysis night. With this, you'll notice in a second that this has been shot with 2 cameras. So very easily, what we're looking at here in one game is your puck out analysis. There might have been 36 puck outs in this game, but you only want to show the ones that are going to benefit or lead to improved performance in your players. So you don't need to sit them through all 36 puck outs. You just pick out the most pertinent ones. You'll see here that this one was shot with 2 camera angles. So on the left hand side, you'll see we've got quite a tight camera angle where we're looking at the technical skills of the players. Are they able to gain possession correctly? Do they struggle with certain areas of the skill? Whereas this one we put behind the goal and we call it our tactical camera. So if we go and look at it, we're able to see every player on the pitch within the one screen. Benefits of that are it's very easy to do, but you're now allowing that camera that's on the left hand side to go in closer to look at the actual skills of the game, whereas the one on the right is showing the tactical movement, and it allows you to pick up patterns a little bit more easily. At any stage, if you have it on two camera angles, you can swap from angle 1 to angle 2. Make your drawing notes, make your drawings in there, add coaching notes as you're going to see underneath here, which are specific to the coaches at the time. Or you can see here a little bit more detail where they're saying puck out 1 clean, ball kept alive, attack breaks down, caught too far up the pitch. So that when the coach stands up to make his presentation allows him to look a lot more prepared. And as we said, when it's disseminated to the players are now watching the video and they're not wondering what was being said by the coaches at the time. So your presentation movies are one of the most important elements of what you're going to get out of performance analysis and what will lead to an improved performance, and they're very, very easy to create within the performance analysis software. So you can tab forward and see the other areas that were looked at in this movie. So they looked at a couple of instances of forward movement. Down underneath here we're seeing again that the coach is requesting that there's more options given to the ball carrier. This one has got a note of ground movement, ground ball and movement of the ball along the ground. And then he's going to look at poor movement. So all good performance analysis presentations will have the sandwich effect where you show your good elements, maybe show the areas for improvement in the middle, and then show some more good elements at the end of the movie. So in this next section we're going to look at individual player analysis, and to do so we use an individual player analysis template like this one over here on the right. So you see it slightly differs from the match analysis template where you would have looked at puck outs, areas of the pitch it landed, scores for and against, fouls, etc. You're now replacing that with the players. So the players become the main element. So every time I see a player be on the ball or carry out a defensive duty, you click on the player and it will capture the piece of video the player is involved in. You can then also get down to the level of adding qualitative descriptors, so you can say whether you had a good tackle, a good touch, a poor touch, or as we said, they're fully user defined, so you decide exactly what you want to code. So if we grab this and drop it into GameBreaker, we'll see here we're looking at an individual analysis of the Dublin team when they played Galway in this year's league. So if I wanted to see an individual instance carried out by one of the players, let's just turn on our instance notes here. We want to look at the second instance Liam Rush is involved in. You double click on it and it's going to show you the clip that he's been involved in. If I wanted to go in, I'll just turn off my sound here. If I wanted to go in and see every instance he's involved in, I double click on it and it brings me up all 18 instances. Again, if you want it, we can go into full screen and we can highlight things we wish using our drawing tools, pick out the Galway man there, put in some text or play it along, but we can tab through it and we're going right through from instance 1 up to instance 18 that he was involved in. You can take your player aside. You can then point out very, very quickly just the instances he's involved in, so you don't have to sit him down and watch through a whole movie. Or you can just pick out a couple of instances that you want him to improve on. So that's where we talk about our targeted analysis. You can just pick out his 4 good points, his 4 bad points from the match and not show him all 25. They can then be sent to his phone or be watched online. So again, if we want to see everything Alan McCrabb done, you double click on it, the player sits beside you, and very, very quickly it shows here it's 2 minutes of footage. You sit with the player and you run through what you need him to improve on or what he's done quite well in the weekend. So in the last file we looked at an individual game and how the individuals performed in it, but as with your match analysis, the software allows you to very, very easily combine as many games as you want. So as we're looking at this here, we can now combine all the games that, as we've done here, Galway played in the league in 2013, so it's going there from Galway against Kilkenny into Galway against Clare, Galway against Tip, against Cork, Waterford, and then into the last game against Kilkenny again. So we down now on our timeline are able to see every instance that every player was involved in. So if we wanted to see all the games David Burke was involved in, we double click on it, and instead of it bringing up your puck outs, it now brings up his 42 instances, as we can see up here, and they will be across a range of games. So there's some instances against Waterford and some against Kilkenny. So it allows you to build a database over any period of time of any of the players that you want, be that your minors coming through all the way to when they leave at seniors, or just over the course of a season, or even over the course of a league campaign. So as we said earlier, we can use the GameBreaker software in any area of a team's preparation or in any area of coaching. So in this instance, we're going to look at some strength and conditioning. So you again devise a template exactly how you want. You can then apply it wherever you want. So over here we've got cameras. It is a 4-stack, so at any stage I can jump into any of the given angles that I want. But if you've only got one camera, which most people will, I can now go in and code it from side on. So I can say whether the back is positioned correctly, whether the head is correctly, and I can run through the reps. And in live analysis, we can have the players step into the rack, carry out a repetition, step out, and then you can show them exactly what they've done correctly or incorrectly, and then they can go in and there's instant correction. So that's a very easy functionality to use as well within the software. So if I wanted, I could go in here and look at this coding, go on, turn on my drawing tools, and as the player goes down, we can slow it down, we can speed it up. So just as he goes down here, we'll decide that we're going to put in an angle, stop it just there, and we can use our drawing tools to come in and say, well, he's either gone down far enough or too far, or should his bar be further over his head. You can make your point again, move on and put them back in the rack. When we talk about dissemination, then we like to say that the players will be able to look at it on their own. So if you wish, you can take this video that we've just annotated, and we can now go in, and the player, just turn off the sound again, the player can have this with them on their phone when they're in the gym on their own and they're not beside the coach. So you've got fully annotated movies going across to your players. And if we take it away from the strength side of things and look at a conditioning drill, if we wanted to go and video a speed, agility, quickness drill, we can go in here and watch players running through just the normal standard speed, agility, quickness drill. With the software, however, we can go and look at one of the players, double click on it, and we can watch them come through. Again, just going back to the very simple functionality, we've got full control, so we can stop it at any stage, go backwards or go forwards. If we wanted, then we can open up another player, and with one touch of a keyboard stroke, I now stack the two of them. So I've got them there beside each other, and at any stage I can go in, we'll speed them up to just when they come to the middle turn, and I can just look at one player, I can just look at the other, look at their technique for getting through the cones to see who's further along in the drill. Or if I wish, with the exact same piece of video and one more keystroke, I can now overlay the video. So you can see that the two players ghost along on top of each other as they run through the drill. And where this is used quite effectively is on the psychological side of things, where a player is videoed earlier in the season, they run through a period of pre-season or they're coming back from an injury, and then you video them a couple of months later and you're able to ghost them along on top of each other or stack them beside each other, and the player can see where they've made gains and where they've improved. So that's a quick rundown of some of the functionality of the GameBreaker software package in hurling. If you wish, and if you have any other questions about what else the software can do, feel free to contact us and we'll be happy to answer any questions and get you along the road to a performance analysis solution.